What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we'll be taking a look at a title called Relic Space. This is entering early access as of this week, and they've sent over a copy for me to take a look at. I've played the game for about 2 hours, and I think that this game kind of saddles somewhere in between a space RPG and a space roguelike. So really what this game is it procedurally generates a galaxy that like the same 4 or 5 factions are in every single time, and you are on the side of the Order faction as far as I can tell every single time you play, although we'll fiddle around with it on the next new game. And this game is kind of a mission grinder. If you've ever seen a title, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts here, because this game is going for something very specific that I think we've only ever really seen before in a title called Drox Operative. In Drox Operative, it's a real-time game, much like this one, where the AI has its kingdoms, and it's playing a 4X game in the background, and you are a pilot that is kind of dipping your toe in that 4X game by taking on missions. And every single mission you undertake is actively helping these factions achieve a goal that they are after. And in Relic Space, they take it one step further, where this game actually has like a win-fail criteria. Like you're trying to help your faction get enough victory points by trading, by mining, by fighting, by exploring, all that kind of stuff in order for them to get to 100 victory points and win. And as you accumulate these victory points, it's going to allow them to complete research, it's going to let them develop their tech tree, it's going to let them research new weapons and technologies and add-ons for your ships and new ships themselves. And so it's an interesting idea. After playing the game for a couple of hours, I think I have a few thoughts about it. I think it's safe to say that this game's pretty early on, even as far as early accesses go. But I'm going to do my best to put together some feedback while we play the game, so.
We called it the Fall. 1 trillion lives destroyed in an instant. What was left were the relic belts. The remains of our planets, scattered round a collapsed sun. Our task now, to recover and rebuild what was lost. And win back our future.
So yeah, if you wanted to check out the early access of Relic Space, I didn't get a chance. I got ahead of myself and I clicked, alright? But if you wanted to check out Relic Space, I got a link for you down below in the description. I've also got a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live. And I'll do my best to compile my thoughts at the end of the video. For right now, we've got to name ourselves. We've also got our faction. I think as the game develops, you're going to be able to play as other factions, but for right now, it seems to be locked to the Order. And so the Order is an elite military organization that is trying to protect civilization against high-impact, low-probability threats. There are other factions. There's like the Circle. There's the Union. There's a number of minor factions you can work with as well that are all scattered throughout the galaxy. But for now, we're going to be taking mostly missions from the Order. You get to pick a background. The background, basically, this is actually more important than the game implies. Basically, your background determines what tech tree you have, or like what skill tree you have that levels up the fastest. So if you go with Techie, almost everything you get, so every time you level up, you get 1 point that randomly goes to like a combat tree, a engineering tree, a movement tree. This basically makes it so that your focus is engineering, your focus is combat, or your focus is maneuverability, and it's up to you which one you want to go with. I have found that Techie has a lot of cool utilities that can help you survive bad situations. I've also found that Flyboy has a lot of cool utilities for getting away from the enemy. Haven't played around too much with Space Cadet, but basically they're kind of like the punchy option where you just murder everything. But I don't feel like their bonuses are quite as consequential as the Techie or as the Flyboys. You can customize your character a little bit. There's not a massive amount of customization for your appearance, but there is a little bit in there. And now that we've got ourselves named and we've already picked our class, we'll go ahead and dive on into the game proper. Now, this is what I mean at the beginning of the video, where I talked about this game as kind of a roguelike, but it's kind of an RPG with permadeath. It's up to you how you want to play it. But tactical mode is like the normal difficulty. You can go with random start. This will allow you to make a procedural galaxy. You can save and load your game as much as you want. Doesn't really matter. Or you can go with like permadeath Iron Man mode, which puts you into like what is effectively the roguelike mode. And it's your call to determine whether or not that's the sort of thing that you are into. By default, the game is basically just an RPG with permadeath where you can load your save, or you can save whenever you want, but you can also make it into a proper roguelike. And in fact, I think it probably gets its idea across a little bit better if you do play it on permadeath, having done about 5 or 10 runs now. But we'll just go on normal just in case there's any problems with recording or whatever. So here we are in the center of the galaxy. One thing that I've noticed is, like, it doesn't matter if you disable these tutorial prompts right here, they still pop up. I've seen these about a zillion times now, and they will pop up in combat and be super annoying even though you've disabled them, like on the game options when you start out. I would recommend that they just, like, get rid of those altogether along with the other tutorials if you disable them, because they can pop up at weird times in combat that can get in the way of your targeting. So this is the game. It is turn-based. We can move around, and basically you've got energy and you've got motion. This game, I think its claim to fame is going to be, it's got kind of like an interesting movement scheme where they've tried to factor in Newtonian physics to the actual turn-based gameplay. So as you can see, we have a reactor. Let's talk about the UI first, then we'll talk about the movement, because if I don't talk about the UI and all the stuff our ship has going on, it's not going to make sense in the first place. Top left, character panel. We've got our missions, we've got our XP, we've got our money, we've got our name, we've got our ship. Bottom left, we've got basically the most important readout in the game, and honestly, I think there's probably a way that they could get this to be a little bit more immersive with like a picture of your ship that would relay all of this information without just having stacked meters. The stacked meters are fine, but, you know, I like more immersive stuff like little HUD displays. But for right now, we've got heat. Every time you fire a weapon or use a module, heat goes up when it hits this little threshold right here. Your wiring will start to melt and things will start to catch fire. We've got our energy. This is our battery. Our battery is generated by I think we've got a generator, actually, inside that generates our electricity. When that runs out, you can't move or do anything. We've got our systems, everything from our shield to our beam lasers to our ion engine. They can take individual damage, and these little circles right here will change color based on how damaged they are. We've also got our fuel. I'm not a big fan of fuel in space games. We've also got shields, and we've got hull. If this goes down to 0, you are permanently dead, so you don't really want that to happen. Which brings us to the movement system in this game, which I think is actually one of the more unique attributes of the game. There is kind of this idea of Newtonian braking and sort of like inertial dampening in this game. So if you're flying in a straight line, it costs you no energy to fly in a straight line. However, if you're turning, it costs you a little bit of energy, and if you want to flip around, it costs you a whole bunch of energy to do that as well. And so this game is about basically sweeping past the enemy like a fighter pilot, doing kind of zigzaggy figure 8 maneuvers to always keep moving so that you nerf their ability to hit you, and so you save as much energy as possible for your weapons systems and your shield recharge, while at the same time trying to kind of like cut off your enemy and stop them from doing those maneuvers by cutting in front of them every now and again to strip off their evasion and make them spend way too much energy in order to turn or about face. It's kind of a curious system, but it is largely intuitive. But what is the point of this game? Well, the point of this game is to do missions. We have our faction. We are the blue faction. If we zoom out on this sector, you can see that there's Dennis Station over there and there's Callahan Station right here. This one has an exclamation point, which means that this station has a mission for us. These missions lead into the faction info. Every time you do a mission, your faction gets a victory point. Every time you turn in a relic, your faction gets a new research and will now carry new items inside all of their shops or have like new things that are available. But you're not doing this in a vacuum. All the other factions are also trying to beat you and do these exact same things. And like if they claim a technology, there's no guarantee that your faction will be able to get that technology. And these factions are going to be allying with each other and backstabbing each other and stealing from each other and generally, you know, performing the Sun Tzu-style Machiavellian machinations that make the galaxy go round. And so that's why you're doing these missions. You're kind of like a finger in the overall body of the galaxy. So if we go here and we dock with this place has equipment we can buy. It's got ships that we can buy over here. If we can get $200 together, we can get a Firehawk. And I think the Firehawk is probably the best thing we could buy early game. just because it's flatly better than the Wasp that we're currently flying right now. So let's go back to the core services, and we'll talk to Fister. That's a really unfortunate name. Omega Wing have identified a cryptoid ship that has critical supplies for an espionage project. If you destroy this ship and obtain diamonds and return them to Crawford Station in Armanix, you will get paid. Okay, so beam me the details. I don't normally like taking combat missions as my first mission, just because our ship kind of sucks in the early game. It's not very good, and we haven't really got to retrofit it or do anything with it. But there's the enemy ship right there, and you may have noticed when I went through this area, I didn't talk about how our weapons were on automatic. When you're in turn-based mode and you're fighting with the enemy, your character will automatically move and automatically fire at the person you've selected as your target if your weapons are on automatic. You can also click on this and put it on manual. That means you need to click a spot, then click an enemy, so on and so forth. It's up to you if you want to do that, but keeping it on automatic for right now is fine. We've actually both cut each other off. In the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, we've got a number of active abilities that we're able to pop off on our turn with various restrictions. Some of them you can use freely, like a free action. Some of them will use up your movement. Some of them will move up or they'll use up your combat. Just kind of depends. But we've got one here called Power Shot, which basically increases our chance to hit by 20% and doubles our damage. So we should probably fire that. You can press space to pass your turn if it feels like there's nothing you can really do. It looks like this guy is just a little thief who's trying to steal credits, and we haven't killed him yet, but he should be getting close. I don't know what his HP's looking like. We're going to try to maintain a straight line for now next to him, if he's going to let us have that straight line. He's not dead yet, but I dearly wish that he would be dead. It's kind of hard to tell how much HP he's got left. He doesn't have a health meter on him like the rest of these guys have. But this right here, when you mouse over an enemy, it'll give you all your various chances to hit. The game has a nice help file. You are going to need this help file if you want to learn how to play the game effectively. But if you take a look at damage and hit chance right here, it'll actually label all this stuff. So you've got the range of your weapons, what weapons are currently equipped, if they are receiving a bonus to dodge from any cover they might be near, like an asteroid or a nebula, what their malice is to your hit chance based on their movement, your total hit chance, and the total damage you might deal. And so these are all useful pieces of information to know if you want to be effective. We are... Oh, no. I've lost my turn here. I gotta get in behind him. There we go. We're in behind him. And we killed him. There we go. The hostile ship is destroyed, and you have retrieved the diamond for your mission. Good. Is that another klepto ship or whatever? Ooh, he's got more stuff. We find $11. Nice. This guy's got a health bar, so he's going to be easier to figure out if we've killed him or not. I'm going to try to fly in a straight line, but I don't honestly think he wants the smoke. It seems like he's trying to leave right now. And so we'll fly around and see if we can drop this off. Oh, no, we needed to take it to a neighboring sector. All right, well, let's refuel real fast. So there it is. We've refueled for $3. I've got the diamond on board, but they don't want to buy it because the diamond is for a quest. And we've got like 0.3 tons of it too. Maybe we'll have extra after we drop it off. And it looks like on the sector map, we need to take it over to here. On the sector map, it will tell you who controls every single area around you and all the connections that will take place. One thing I will warn you about with this game is that the proceduralism can be a little bit wonky. And it can make sectors that are basically death traps, and you won't know that it's a death trap till you're already in it. So kind of like save before you jump and not after you jump. It doesn't happen super frequently, but in the 2 or 3 hours I've spent with the game, it's happened to me once or twice where I've jumped into what is effectively a death sector that has no refueling stations. It has nothing but hostiles. You come under attack like instantly the second that you jump in. And so just be aware that the randomization can get you in trouble from time to time. So if you are going to save before you jump, not after. So now that we're here, we need to drop this package off, the diamond that we got over at Crawford Station. There's not going to be a whole lot of storyline to this game or like world building in the current build, has been my observation. I mean, I guess we can shoot him. I don't care. He's a hostile and he's trying to steal from me, so we might as well laser the hell out of him while we've got the opportunity to do so. Trying to keep my turning looking good here, but I think he's pulling a runner. Hey, we caught up with him. Nice. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to steal money from me or something. Just keep firing at him, I suppose. If he tries to pull off, like, that's fine. Wow, he's got a lot of HP, man. My dude is being very, very difficult to murder right now. Then again, we don't have the best DPS in the world either. So after a lot of sitting around firing at this guy, we finally killed him. And in the wreckage, we found $11. That's better than nothing. It's a free refuel, so I'll take it. Let's drop this thing off at Crawford real fast. But as I was saying, there's not a whole lot of world building in this game, but I get the feeling there might be in later on iterations. Like, I know the developer has been really responsive on the Steam forums and on Twitter and whatnot, talking about what he wants to do with the game. And so it seems like he's kind of in the feedback collecting portion of the game right now. It's like a very early access for feedback collection and then basically more content implementation. It seems like there's gaps where like world building is going to be, because it seems like there's certain factions that need further exploration or explanation. And there's our mission complete right there. So we gained a reputation, we got 80 bucks, and we got 100 XP. And it looks like our faction's surveillance has gotten better. I don't know exactly how that helps us. Like if it helps our economy or if it helps anything else, but it looks like Union is kind of winning right now. Yeah, so it looks like every single faction is divided up into their fleet supremacy, their surveillance supremacy, and their defensive capabilities. And every mission we do is going to kind of exacerbate one of those things. There's also the intelligence faction. I haven't learned too much about them just yet, because it hasn't been explained, but it seems like every faction is trying to ingratiate themselves with the intelligence faction so that you can like be best friends. I do want that small beam laser right there. I want it kind of bad. I think I'm gonna take it. Yep. You can do some light trading in this game. I find the trading to be a little bit uninteresting just because they've broken everything down. They've broken everything down into just like elemental basics. I tend to prefer trading in games where it's things like, you know, washing machines or industrial equipment or weapon components, where it's got a little bit more of a narrative flair, I guess, what it is that you're transporting. But it's fine. It functions. If there's a little up arrow right here, it means they produce that in this area. If there's a little down arrow, it means they want that in this area. And you can make a little bit of money just trading and flying around if you want to. But it's kind of like a side activity. I don't know if actually flying around trading helps your faction at all. Whereas like doing missions and recovering relics adds points to the meter and makes the victory go up. And so I kind of like trade as a side thing rather than like a main thing. It looks like we've got a supply of calcium that needs to be taken to Codex sector. Sure, we can do that. There's another mission right here. My research has identified evidence of a potential relic in this sector. Can you investigate and deliver it to the depot? Yeah, let's do that, because the relic will actually make our faction unlock a new technology, which could be like a better gun, it could be a better shield, it could be pretty much anything that may give us like a big advantage over the enemy. We also need to equip our other laser. Your equipment in this game, all you need to know is your ship can have 5 tons of crap on it. The hull takes up 3 tons, which obviously leaves us with like, you know, 2 more tons that we can play. Oh, never mind. So independent of the hull, we got 8 tons total as our maximum weight. But we have 5 tons of free space. 3.8 of it is being used up by random equipment like our lasers and our utilities and our weapons. And then 1.2 of it is empty. Which means that we can either expand equipment's importance or we can store, you know, trade goods, whatever it is you want to do. Let's go grab the relic real quick, because this is actually a pretty safe system. We have been intercepted by cryptoids. It looks like we have a klept transporter that's trying to steal from us, and we've got a Hornet drone. That's not too bad. I think we can take them. Where are they at? I don't even see them. I don't see them here, but it said that they were here, so I guess I'll just be confused. All these ships that are flying around, you can hail them. The talking and hailing system is kind of limited right now. Let's see here. While exploring the wreck, You discover a functioning energy source using pre-fall technology. This is a significant boost to your faction's energy research. Oh, nice. Cool. And then there it is. You identify finally and retrieve the relic from the ruin using the holo scans that you were given. It will now need to be delivered to Lee Depot. And it looks like we've got an Armanix fragment. This is... It doesn't say, actually. It's an abstract composition of an equipment fragment. All right, I'll take it. There's nothing else on the wreck right here, so let's take it on back to the source. And in dropping it off, we've completed our mission. We've got another $60 to play around with, and they should research this relic, and in a turn or two, on this little sidebar right here, it'll actually have a pop-up, and it'll tell you what technology our faction got. This place also has a mission. They want me to take... Destroy the target ship and take the goods to Kaufman Station. I have other priorities at the moment. Okay, we'll come back for it. I do have other priorities right now. We have 150 turns to deliver this calcium to a different system. So I think we will probably do that. This looks like a death system to me. So basically, this is controlled entirely by the enemy. We have no presence in this zone with our faction. What's going to happen here is we're going to jump into this area, and it's going to be filled with enemies. We're going to instantly hit combat. It's going to cost us a lot of fuel to get over there, and by the time we drop this off with our contact, we're not going to have enough fuel to jump out, especially if there's a bunch of enemies around scrambling our engines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save before we jump over here, and we'll see how bad this is, and maybe we'll abandon the quest if it's really terrible. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here. Yeah, so we have instantly made contact with the enemy. There are a lot of enemy stations here. Basically, we need to drop this off fast enough that we still have 500 fuel left over. The problem is we cannot warp out of this area while we are in enemy contact. So that's kind of an issue. We are overheating right now, so I'm going to use my deheat option in order to dump heat real fast. Our shields are looking terrible, so I'm going to boost our shield regeneration, all power to shields. Let's wipe him, possibly. Okay, so we killed one enemy ship, and I need to go more southwards. Order have... Oh, yeah, that's the technology we just unlocked. So laser crystallography. So energy boosters are now available at order stations. So I think what we've unlocked here is basically the ability to use energy potions. Oh, we are super overheated. I didn't realize. Okay, so we've got to disable our weapons and let ourselves cool down for a couple of turns. But I have insufficient energy to move because everything is overheating, unfortunately. I need one more turn. Luckily, this guy is tanking for us right now, being a total champ. Okay, so dump half of our heat. It looks like our shields are on fire, so we'll run the fire suppression system. And now we can move again, which is good. I just need to drop this thing off with this guy down here. And then I need to get the hell out of here. That's pretty much it. Very intense mission right there where we got supremely lucky that that other guy in his freighter swung in and tanked for us for just a second. We are more than likely going to want to warp out of here about as fast as possible. It looks like our generator is not fully functioning right now. I think there's no enemies on grid. It says there's still hostile ships nearby. So I'm going to try to cut south, I guess. I don't know what hostile ship it's seeing. There we go. I think it let us off the hook. We need to go back to a shipyard, like right now. That was, like I said, death zones, dude. We got really, really lucky right there in being able to bail out of that sector, but you're not always going to get that lucky. We got to go up to Crawford. Sometimes the enemy, they have like these really speedy flyboy equivalents that can like double move and triple move and like teleport and stuff like that. And in so doing, you can't really outrun them and you can't really outfight them either. And it can lead to headaches. We need to pull into this station right here, and we need to refuel like right this second. The good news is we can afford a Firehawk, which is great because it's got a lot more cargo space, it's got a lot more armor, it's got a lot more mod slots. We haven't even been using any of our utility slots, so yep, I will take it. There it is. So we've got ourselves a new ship right there. From what I can tell, every faction has their own run of ships. So, for example, the Order faction has everything from the Transport up to the Star Knight, but the Circle seems like they have different ships. I haven't been able to make friends with the Luddic faction yet, and I haven't been able to make friends with the Bug people yet to see what they've got, but they do fly different-looking ship models around their area, so I think that's implying that at some point you're going to be able to start out as any of the factions in the game, and they're all going to have different ships that kind of, like, function and push in different directions, I suppose. We need to find a job here. Down at Lee, actually, we had that job left over. We can go give that a look, and there may be some light mining or something we can do around here as well. Some kind of fighting going on over there. All right, so we'll dock here, we'll refuel, and your mission is they require phosphorus. We have 400 turns to get 1 ton of phosphorus and deliver it to this station. If we can find a mining node, I think that's definitely possible. We may also be able to source it from somewhere else. Let's have a little look-see around, I guess. We don't really have enough money to refuel our ship right now. We've been interdicted by Void Seekers, unfortunately. Okay. Let's designate you as a target. We will enable all weapons. We will open strong with power shots. We will try to keep things running smooth and clean for right now as far as heat goes. I think our ship does have better heat dispersal. Yes, it looks like it has much better heat dispersal. All right, he's dead. Did he drop anything? He did, actually. I'm gonna go get my loot. We found a phosphorus, dude. What is the luck there? Out of all the elements we could have looted, we got a free phosphorus from that guy. All right, I'll take it, man. Hell yeah. Apparently RNGesus is on our side right now. I like this ship. This ship does not overheat at all. Good. This is way better than the Hornet, dude. That Hornet or Wasp or whatever it was garbo. This is a much better fighting vessel. Although we are kind of getting outran right now by this guy. Are you dead yet? Why are you not dead yet? I've shot you so much, dude. I'm gonna try to come up, but there we go. Now he's finally dead. Did he drop anything? He did not drop anything, but we do have this nerd over here. He's only got like medium and small beam lasers. I'm gonna go all power to shields, and then I think I'll probably fly this way and see what he does. We'll hit him with some power shots. And there it is. Another one bites the dust. Station. We found 4 credits. Okay. We found +1 energy for our faction. We found 2 nickel. And the space station is done. One thing I would like is to put a glow on the space stations and on the derelict space hulks where it has like basically kind of like a flashing sort of light on it, maybe even from these outside ports, and it'll be green when there's still loot on it, and they turn red when it becomes empty, and then it goes like boom, 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 breaks apart and slowly dissipates so that it's gone. I would appreciate that greatly. For right now, the stations and stuff, they just kind of like stay, whether you've explored them or not. there's our phosphorus. We got paid 80 bucks, which puts us back in the black, which is good. Got 100 XP right there, a little bit more reputation, and another energy stat has been added. How's our faction doing right now? So as far as our economic victory goes, we've got really good resource and really good energy really good energy collection right now. We're getting beat over here in terms of defensive and kind of offensive capabilities, but economically, we're actually cleaning up right now. So with regards to, we're building a powerful economy. It is time for us to level up. You just click on the little plus up here. And it looks like we've got a point to spend in our engineering tree. And that's pretty predictable because we took our techie as a bonus. We can take shield focus. For every incoming attack, shields have a 50% chance to block 1 extra damage. It's not bad. We've also got need more power. Gives a 20% boost to the energy produced by your generator for 3 turns. That could also be helpful. Or we could just buff power to shields, which makes our shields regenerate at 150% rather than plus 100%. Or we can make our heat dump a little bit better. I'll probably go with this shield focus passive, because like a lot of the weapons seem to do 6 to 7 damage. So if we can level that up 3 times, that'll basically cut enemy damage incoming by 3 on top of whatever bonus we're getting from our ship's natural hull armor. So it feels like a good plan to me. I mean, being able to shrug off getting shot in the face feels like the sort of thing a space hero would dedicate his life to. I also wanted to see, did this place get access to that new thing that was produced? Oh, good. The nickel's worth a lot of money here. 30 bucks. Not bad. Did they get the new thing here? The energy booster increases the damage of all energy weapons by 1, but also increases the heat of your energy weapons by 2. Okay. Yeah, that might be good. We could also get, well, there's no targeting computer here, but I would like a targeting computer, because a targeting computer will raise our accuracy by 10%, which basically cuts the enemy's bonus for being in perpetual motion by half, which can be helpful. A 60% chance to hit is better than a 50% chance to hit. The next upgrade for us is going to be a ship called the Nighthawk, which looks like it has an extra weapons slot, which is sexy. We could also go for the Ranger. It looks like the Ranger gives you a utility slot instead. So you can go for a utility slot, or you can go for a somewhat larger fusillade of weapons that you can fire out there. And of course, the ships keep going up in size until you have like crazy amounts of weapons on board. Up to and culminating in like the Star Titan and the Star Knight, which just have crazy weaponry. We need to find another job, or at least a mining point. I don't know what this station is down here, but I'm curious. Oh, I'm under attack again. How dare you? Is he just gonna drive by me and then leave? Rough neighborhood, man. Tough situation to find oneself in. Hey, there's a mining spot. Now it looks like we got a silicate, an iron, a silicate, and a silicate. That explains why silicates are being produced here. We'll probably want to fly someplace else where they don't produce silicates to sell that stuff, just to maximize the amount of profit we get out of the situation. Reputation is insufficient for this mission. Yeah, we got to be a little bit more badass before they'll let us have that one. They've also got iron here. Silicates are produced here, so we're not getting any money off the silicates. Fair. I'll sell the iron here then. And then we'll hold on to the silicates. Maybe we'll pick up another one. That's fine. We'll see if we can sell the silicates elsewhere. I needed a refuel, too. There we go. Fill up the old gas tank, dude. This thing's a guzzler. It's like a space Hummer. We can go to Arter. That's fine. We got 2 factions here that aren't necessarily hostile. So, you know, keeping friendship nice and friendly always feels like a good play to me. Do they have any trade posts here? They do, in Dalton, and they actively have a mission we can go after, too. You're not limited to doing missions for just your faction. However, it may end up that way if you favor your faction too much in hitting other factions. So keep that in mind. It looks like the silicates sell for 4 here. We bought them for 3. So that means for half of these, we're making +1. It actually looks like they produce them here as well. It's kind of unfortunate. Okay. Do we have any other trade stations here? We do. We can go to Villanueva and see what they've got going on. If I dock here, what's this mission? So a shipment is ready for loading. Deliver it to the Codex sector. So the Codex sector, was that death sector they tried to send me to? It is, but I am a little bit stronger right now than I was the last time I went there. That's like one of the Union's core systems too, man. That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, we can go back into the breach and just kind of hope for the best, but... Where did I get water from? I don't remember picking up water at all. I don't know, but to take this mission right here, we're going to have to, yeah, beam me the details. All right, so we refuel. It's going to take us 500 to get over there. We should have a little bit more leeway than we had the last time we made this run into enemy territory because our fuel tank has gotten larger. So we've got a little bit more dinosaur juice to make this easier. And I think we killed a bunch of enemies while we were here last time, too, which should thin them out a little bit. Oh, we've got a mining spot right there, too. I may try to yoink that real quick before we leave. There's our mission complete. So, technically, I could just take my money and run right now. But I'm going to be greedy. Silicates, calcium, sodium, calcium, silicates. Hey, money's money. I'll take it. Let's go back to the previous sector because I don't want to be elbow deep in enemy territory. Just kind of with my pud in hand, hoping for the best. Let's take this down to Villanueva and see what they've got going on. Oh, they have a full-scale invasion going on, is what they have going on. Concern, panic, terror. It looks like they're all klepto vehicles, though, so they're not actually trying to, like, fight. They're just trying to go up to stations and steal money. Would you guys like to buy my calciums? Oh my god, calcium has so much value here. Well, that was a nice little bonus. We made almost as much money as you make from a quest just by mining that asteroid while we were over there. As far as what I think about Relic Space so far, I think the game has its strengths. Like, I like the idea of a turn-based Drox operative style game where you're just kind of this little ant that's working towards the unfathomably huge victories of your faction. Like, I like that idea. I think that's interesting. Like, I'd like to see that idea extrapolated on more heavily in games. And if you look at things like Civ, for example, the thing that jumped out at me with Relic Space is that it would be really, really cool if, you know, wonder projects would unlock at certain reputations with a faction, and they would have full storyline scripted, you know, 5 to 10 mission chains that you have to complete in order to massively launch your faction forward and get, like, this really cool bonus or this really cool thing. It would be rad to see the player be able to support tiny little stations on their own as well without faction missions by supplying them with things that they need or taking down rival faction bases so that they can develop and grow larger. I've seen the AI build new stations, but I'm not sure I've seen them upgrade their holdings yet. I've seen them build stations and I've seen them attack enemies, like, but a lot of the bigger scale stuff sort of happens off screen with just like a little text pop up while you're grinding missions and doing other stuff. So it's actually been kind of hard to track in real time. Like I said, I've seen them attack one another's territories with like 7 or 8 ships, which culminates in like a big battle that are pretty fun. Don't jump in on those, by the way, unless you're prepared for it, but they can be a blast. And like, I think that the combat system is also quite novel, but it feels like it needs like a little tiny bit more depth. Like they've almost got it there, like it's really close with the seesaw of managing your energy for banking and turning versus recuperating on straightaways and maintaining your dodge bonus while trying to deny your enemy that same thing. But it just needs a smidge more complexity, I think, to really make that system pop, and I don't exactly know how to do it. Maybe that'll come with the higher skill tree abilities. That's also a possibility. Like, I haven't gotten to play around much with, like, 180 drifting turns and kind of the fast and the furious loop-de-loops and whatnot that you can unlock in the mobility tree, because I mostly played the engineer while getting ready for this video. But what I will say is impressive about their combat system is that it's weird, and it's not super intuitive if you had it explained to you on paper. But inside of the turn-based system that they've created, it actually functions very, very intuitively. So well done there. Honestly, I don't think I have that many problems with Relic Space, and I don't think it would be that fair to level it off right now either, considering it feels to me like a low-budget RPG that's pushing really heavily on proceduralism as a main draw. It has some interesting ideas towards combat, movement, and intrigue on a galactic scale that I think I'd like to explore more, but I don't know how early on in early access this game is intended to be. Like, if this game is 3 years out from a release, then like, yeah, it's got a long road to go, and I'm sure it's going to end up pretty cool. Like, if they're talking about doing early access for 4 or 5 months, I'd be like, it's a little bit lacking in depth, but kind of interesting. Where I think the game can improve right now is in the depth of the universe and the storytelling and the building up of its own lore, and generally kind of making the optional tasks like mining and exploration a lot more interesting than just clicking and getting a loot pop-up. That's kind of like womp womp. It'd be nice that when you board a derelict, you could actually have equipment on your ship that gives you like a better chance at better loot, and then the ship itself was sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure style mini-narrative when you board to try to get even better loot out with kind of like a guaranteed minimum loot and like damage taken if you screw up too badly. For mining, having mini games in there based on what type of mining you're doing, whether it's surface mining or core cracking or something like that, would be interesting as well. I found that the click and loot, like the click and get loot in a text box thing, to kind of be like, underwhelming. But anyways, it's hard to say what the future holds for Relic Space because, like I previously said, I don't know how long their intended early access is meant to be, or whether this is like a proof of concept build, or whether this is meant to be like the bulk meat of the gameplay, and now they're tuning. I don't know. I also don't know what the price is going to be at. The developer said somewhere in between like 15 and 30 bucks. So once again, it's tough to say whether or not it's going to be worth it. Like, there's a lot of pieces of information missing here that I think would give my opinion of the game a little bit more nuance, but I'll say that I think there's enough here that's interesting gameplay and combat-wise that if it gets infused with more depth and those systems get iterated upon to make them more interesting, it could definitely become something special in the future. For now, I think it's promising, and it definitely grew on me a little bit, but there are definite areas of the game I'd like to see fleshed out with more stuff to do, more mission objectives, more optional side things with more depth. More depth across the board, really, for everything. The combat, the factions, the storyline, the world building, the side objectives. I think that's really what I came away with, is that, like, they've got some of the pieces there, but I'd like to see more depth across the board before I really dove into this like I would with, like, Caves of Cud, or like I would with Tales of Maj'Eyal. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here at the Nerd Castle for an episode on Relic Space. Hopefully this was in some way helpful. I feel like I was really wishy-washy on this one, but maybe I did a better job than I thought I did. I don't know. I'll catch y'all later. Thank you for stopping on in. That's all I've got, and I'll be back tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. Bye, folks.